Hey everyone, let's continue our Google Ads course. Today let's talk about keyword match types. In the last lesson we launched our ads. At the end of the lesson I showed you that I launched keywords with exact match right away, then changed to phrase and then to broad. After that I paused the ads. I did this so our lessons wouldn't be dry theory and we could analyze real examples. In this lesson I'll show you both the official Google Help docs and what actually happens in reality. In editor, it looks like this: exact, phrase, broad. No quotes or square brackets are used. Now let's look at these same keywords in the interface. Exact keys are in square brackets, phrase in quotes, and broad with no special symbols. These are the same keywords, just displayed differently. Once again, I'll sing praises to editor for how convenient it is. It's just a visual thing. Now let's move on to the difference in match types. First, let's look at the help docs. And let's briefly remember two concepts. A keyword is what we use in our ads to trigger the ad display. A search query is what the person typed into the search bar. Try not to confuse them in your head. Let's start with exact match. If we have the keyword shoes for men in exact match type, will show up if a person types shoes man. Man shoes, man shoe, shoes for a man. And actually it's not that exact, to be honest. I've been in Google Ads for a very long time and I know that exact used to be genuinely exact. Meaning, when I used the keyword shoes for men, I showed up exclusively for the query shoes for men, which matched the keyword one-to-one. Now exact match works like phrase match used to. According to the help docs, we won't show up for men's tennis shoes and shoes for boys. That is, if the query differs significantly from the keyword and doesn't contain the same words, the impression won't happen. Moving on to phrase match. In the example, we have the keyword tennis shoes. We can show up for shoes for tennis, buy tennis shoes on sale, red tennis shoes, comfortable tennis sneakers. Pay attention to the last keyword. Here Google starts throwing in related queries. The example shows a good case. You're advertising tennis shoes in general, without specifics. A person is looking for tennis sneakers. Sneakers are also shoes. It's all logical. But in reality you might be advertising specific sneakers, but a person searches for shoes and you might show up for them, even though they might be interested in a different type of shoe. You can only learn this through practice. So don't just blindly trust the help docs. At the same time, an impression won't happen if a person types tennis store or shop for sneakers, when the person isn't looking for the shoes themselves, but a store where these shoes are sold. In reality, phrase match is used most often, as it's the golden mean between exact and broad match. Now let's talk about broad match. Example keyword low carb diet plan. Impressions will happen for queries: carb-free foods, low carb diets, Mediterranean diet books, how to cut carbs for beginners, carb-free meals. And notice that they didn't even give us examples of what won't appear. In practice, with broad match, the keyword pool cleaning might trigger an ad for buy swimming trunks. I just pulled that extreme example out of my head, so you understand how blurry it is. When beginners use broad match, they often just drain their budgets. But the worst thing you can do is draw false conclusions. Broad match is a goldmine if you've done a good job with negatives. I've scaled businesses multiple times that had hit a ceiling simply by not drawing those false conclusions. Let's move on to practice. In the Insights and Reports section, open search terms. I'll click Hide for now to free up space on the screen. Here they just explain what this section is, since we're visiting it for the first time. I'll also hide the left menu and expand the search term column, so user search queries fit on one line for better readability. The ads ran from October 22nd to 24th, by the way. If a lesson loses relevance, I record a new one to replace it. So if you see all dates on the screen, but the lesson is still in the course playlist, it means it hasn't lost its relevance. On October 22nd, I ran only exact match. On October 23rd, phrase match. We see exact here too, because I didn't change the match type at exactly midnight, so there could still be impressions for it. But there's another more interesting reason, which I'll cover later when I add another column with keywords. And on the 24th, the keywords were in broad match. Here it starts below. I'll scroll down and comment on an important point regarding Google's shenanigans. Pay attention to the row. Total search terms. There are 87 queries here. If you hover over the question mark, a description appears stating that not all queries we showed up for are displayed here. And that's total bullshit that we have to put up with. Previously, Google showed everything, and based on those impressions, we built a very high quality negative keyword list, which allowed us to prevent clicks from irrelevant impressions and generally increase CTR, which lowers the cost per click. What can you do? Google wants more of our money. Look below a total, other search terms, 67 impressions and 1 click. That is, I don't even know what that was. Google hides more than a third of the traffic from its own advertisers. Maybe it was some random junk. Just keep this in mind. It's important for understanding. And total account is the sum of what's shown in the table and what isn't. I'll also comment on the bottom row while I'm at it. We can have different campaign types, and Google will give separate figures for each campaign type. Right now, we only have search running, so this isn't informative for us. Okay, let's add another column that's important for clarity in this lesson. Click columns, then custom. Here we're interested in the attributes section. Open it and select keyword. It got added to the very bottom of the list on the right. I'll move it to the very top. Click apply. Now we have the keyword column, and we can correlate exactly which keyword triggered the add impression for each user search query. Look at match type for all these exact match entries. You might think these were all keywords in exact match, but that's not the case. Look at the keyword column. Square brackets mean the keyword is specifically in exact match, quotes mean phrase match, no symbols mean broad. This means that an impression in exact match, just like in other match types, can be triggered by a keyword that is in broad or another match type. All these exact match labels just tell us that the query matched the keyword as precisely as possible. For example, pedicure, nail salon near me, and so on. But that doesn't mean it was the keyword match type set in Google Ads. Now regarding the added excluded column. Added means such a query is present in the keywords. None says it's not present. There's also excluded, but you'll encounter that extremely rarely. That's when you added the entire query to negatives after it was shown. We don't do that. It's a rookie move. In the lesson on analyzing search queries, I'll show you how to do it correctly. Now let's clearly break down what kind of traffic comes from different match types in practice, not according to Google's boring help docs. I click Add Filter, Match Type, and see a list of all possible match types. I'll start with exact match. I check the box, click Apply. Here, all search queries correspond exactly to the keyword, character for character. And it doesn't matter what match type the keyword itself is in. And exact match used to work only like this. We always knew exactly what we were getting. But Google also added the so-called close variant. I select it in the filter. Please tell me, in what parallel universe can salones de uñas be shown for the keyword nail salon? Do you understand what's happening? You set exact match in the settings, but it mixes in not just exact, but also this close variant, which is impossible to turn off. This is solved only by very high quality negative keyword lists. We'll go into detail about this in the next lesson. Where did nail bar and nail spa even come from? That's not what I need at all. Have you already noticed how what I showed in the official help docs diverges from reality? I hope you've already liked and subscribed to the channel. My approach is definitely worth it. I select phrase match in the filter. Pure phrase match worked well, as expected. The keyword pedicure initiated impressions in phrases where pedicure appeared in people's search phrases. Nail salon initiated impressions in queries with nail salon. It's perfect here. I select phrase match, close variant in the filter. And here it's total chaos. How could our ad show up for the keyword nail salon in phrase match when the person typed how much a nail feels? I'm highlighting this because it is critically important to understand when setting up ads. These are the pitfalls that all beginners trip over. For now, I'm just showing you this clearly for understanding. Later, we'll set everything up at a top-level standard and we'll have clean traffic. I select broad match in the filter. There's no close variant addition here. because it's already not just close but quite far on its own. Well, look, the first query in the list is mobile nail services near me, which showed up for the keyword pedicure. And let me remind you that for the keyword pedicure, we are directing the person to a page with pedicures, but the person is interested in mobile nail services. Best case scenario, this will lower our CTR and the cost per click will go up. Worst case, the person clicks on it, we pay money for the click, they see we have a stationary salon and simply close our site. That's why many experts say you shouldn't use broad match, that it's money down the drain. And that's only true if you have poorly worked out negative keywords, an unthought out ad structure, and no cross negatives at the campaign level. But we will do all of this, since the majority turns off broad match, competition there is minimal. The fact that you are taking this course from the very beginning is a huge advantage for you. You guys rock. You can also look at Performance Max, AI Max, but this isn't exactly a match type. Google just put search queries from these campaign types right here. In our case, just ignore them. I just showed that this exists here. Now let's move on to negative keywords. Match types work differently here. In this case, the Google Help description matches reality. But there are certain nuances from practice. Let's look at examples and I'll comment on them. Negative broad match. Even though it's called broad match, it blocks words or phrases only in a perfectly exact occurrence. In the example, running shoes blocks ad impressions for queries blue running shoes, shoes running, running shoes, meaning only where there is an exact occurrence of the negative word or the whole negative phrase. Individual words from the phrase in broad match won't block the ad impression. Basically, it's not obvious at all. With practice, you'll stop getting confused and everything will fall into place. Negative phrase match. In the example, it's exactly the same keyword and exactly the same queries. The only difference is that here we will show up for the query shoes running, where the words are swapped. In broad type, the impression would have been blocked. Therefore, when you have two or more words in a negative phrase, I strongly recommend adding them specifically in phrase match type. This way you'll be absolutely sure that you are blocking impressions for exactly what you wrote in the negative phrase. If you want to negate the reverse order of words too, it's better to record that as a separate phrase in phrase match as well. This way you'll have everything right in front of your eyes, and confusion will be eliminated. It's better not to use the broad type at all for negative phrases consisting of more than one word. Negative exact match. Everything is simple here. It is used in only one case. If you need to add a query to negatives that corresponds one-to-one to the negative word or negative phrase without any additions, that is, running shoes is exactly running shoes. If there is any other word or symbol added in the query, the impression will happen. If any symbol differs, the impression will happen. In real life, you will use this extremely rarely. Almost always the phrase match type for negative keywords will be enough for you. For example, in Microsoft Ads, broad match negative keywords don't even exist, only phrase and exact. And that's quite enough. Maybe Google will also get rid of broad match negative keywords at some point. This lesson was more theoretical, albeit with real examples. But in the next lesson, we will build a negative keyword list in our account in practice. I'll clearly show you what is done and how. I'm sure you'll like it. If you have questions, ask them in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next lesson. Think bigger and make money.